Hey guys, so we're going to be talking about lines. These are the basic lines, very simple, what you use to make all your pictures. But the important thing about this is that you use lines to create your artwork. So let's talk about some things that we do with lines, some techniques that we need lines for. The first thing is we would say contouring. Contour is just the outline of something. So for example, if I was going to draw my hand, let's see. I'll look here. So when I look at my hand, in my brain I'm imagining a line between my finger and the background. So I can trace that line in my imagination. That line is called the contour. It's not like real. If I move my hand, there's not really a line stuck to it. But it's how we draw to show what something looks like. So we create a contour line, an outline. So I'm creating this contour of my finger there. Okay, so this would be considered a contour line. It's an outline of something I was looking at to create the image. Let's see, what else do we do with lines? Oh, a fun thing that you can practice is making line patterns. So intricate patterns can be made out of lines. And some things you might have seen before and been like, oh, that looks really fancy. You can do it really easily by using repeating lines. Let's start with just stripes. That's going to be the easiest pattern, right? Okay, now that might not be too interesting, but it is a pattern made out of lines. If we then take a zigzag line and overlay it with these stripes, we're going to get something cool starting to happen. So you can already kind of see this interesting pattern going on, and I can just keep doing that. So exact same zigzag. And look at this cool pattern we get. If you're designing like a building or something, you could say you could have this pattern made out of tiles on the floor. You could have it on the wallpaper. Let's try another one. Maybe we'll do a diagonal this time. And then I'm going to put curves. So I'm just playing with lines and copying them. Kind of got a little mess up over there, but I think you get the idea. Repeating these lines over and over again gives me an interesting pattern that I can use in my artwork. Last thing you could do with lines is something called linear perspective, which we've talked about before, and you can go look up more videos about it. But it's the idea that as things get further away from us, they look like they're getting smaller. So, if I've got a ball really far away from me, and then I have the exact same kind of ball, but it's closer, and then I have one that's really, really close, these balls get bigger and bigger and bigger as they get closer to me, because things closer to you look like they're taking up more space, So the way to determine the size of these is something called linear perspective. You make a line from something called a vanishing point, and then you create these lines to show how big something's going to get. An easy way to practice this is if you want to make a little landscape, and you're saying, okay, here's my ground, my horizon line, which is a horizontal flat line. This up here is all the sky, and this underneath it is all the ground. This will be at my vanishing point, so everything's going to disappear back there. It's so tiny it disappears when it hits there. So as this road gets closer to me, it gets bigger and bigger and bigger. And if I have little stripes in the road, you know, like roads do, they get smaller and smaller and smaller as they get closer to that vanishing point. So see, it already looks like a road, and all I did was just kind of doodle that out. I could even say, okay, in the sky, I've got some clouds. Now, clouds aren't going to be perfectly straight in line like a road, but let's say closer to this vanishing point, we got little clouds. And further away, they get bigger because they're getting closer to us. So we've got this sense of space perspective. That dot is very far away, and as things get closer to us, they're bigger and bigger and bigger. You know, let's say maybe there's a few trees on the side of the road too, just to add a little more. So we got a tree here. It's this big, goes from this line to that line. Then further away from me, closer to the vanishing point, this tree is only going to be this big. Kind of color those in so we can see better. Alright, so we can see lines can be used to display depth, like how close things are to us, using those edge lines. Alright, last thing about lines, a gesture. Let's talk about a gestural line. So, gesture means movement, and when we're talking in art. And so if I was going to make a character or something, I would want to have gesture to show like the energy in the thing. If I draw all my characters completely like robotically standing with hands at their sides like this, that's going to end up being kind of a boring picture, or the character's going to look very static. And if you want to make robots, that'd be great. But if you're trying to make something that looks alive, like an animal or a person, then you're going to want to input some gesture, some movement feeling to your picture. So for example, if I was going to say, okay, I want to make a character and they're going to be kind of leaping backwards, I would start with this sort of gesture line. Okay, so I've got this line that's indicating a movement. Now right now it doesn't really mean anything, but once I start saying, okay, character's head's there, their shoulders are here, their legs are this way because that's the line the gesture movement is indicating. There's another leg down here. So you can already see him kind of building up this character that's got this movement to them. Their balance is not exactly in the center. It's kind of, they're leaning back, they're falling backwards, right? So we say quick, movementy pictures are called gestures, and the lines in them are called gestural lines. Remember to use your sketchy lines. If you draw as hard as you can all the time, it's very difficult to erase when you need to go back and fix things. And so from just that gesture line to kind of get the whole position of the body, I've drawn this whole pose for a character. Okay guys, so that was a little crash course in lines. Have fun and keep practicing. Bye bye.